Fine. Take your time.
Yeah, we'll put that.
Thank you. Thank you, Reggie. Supervisor Boyd Fredericks excused. At this time, we're going to proceed with the state of the
related to our budget operations so people can live here with the necessary and mandated support services provided by Kenosha County. Our fiscal strength is evidenced by the fact that we maintain a very strong bond rating at AA+, which puts us among the most fiscally strong in the state of Wisconsin. In 2018, tax delinquencies decreased by $2.2 million. For a total over the past 2 years of $4.1 million. Our unassigned general fund balance is at the highest dollar amount. Our equalized value is at its highest ever at $15.6 billion in 2016, or 2018. Here's what Fitch said in 2018 about Kenosha County's financial competency. It rates our operating performance at AAA. Fitch regards the county's operating performance as exceptionally strong. Its financial resilience derives from broad revenue-raising flexibility, solid control over employee and benefit costs, and substantial fund balances. The county has steadily augmented its general fund cash reserve and cash during the economic expansion. Fitch expects the county will maintain substantial reserves through economic cycles, ensuring financial flexibility. Consistently strong fiscal resilience is aided by the county's historical stable stream of property and sales tax. Standard & Poor's says the AA+ rating reflects our view of the county's strong economy with access to broad and diverse metropolitan statistical areas. Strong management with strong financial policies and practices under our financial management assessment methodology. and very strong budgetary flexibility. Most of you have heard me speak on the importance of infrastructure. Infrastructure leads to economic development, which leads to jobs. Now is not the time to take our foot off the gas when it's time to plan moving ahead on our road projects. State Highway 165, County Trunk N, now County Trunk S and KR have been and will be our economic drivers. Approximately 72% of our 2019 bonding was for the Sheriff's Department, including the second phase of a major security upgrade at the Jail Detention Center, a cube truck utility vehicle, the simulcast project that will also help the Kenosha County Fire and Rescue Departments, and for all the Highway Division uses, including paving and equipment. I'm going to repeat, 72% of our bonding goes to two departments, Highways and the Sheriff's Department, with the remaining 24 departments, including facilities, courts, parks, and IT, receiving the rest. Good highways and solid public safety is at the heart of county government. One could argue that law enforcement is infrastructure also. Keeping the public safe and secure is the backbone of any community. Law enforcement and protective services in general have been more complex in the past 10 years than almost any other public sector job. We need to support our deputies with good equipment and vehicles, and we have. But it doesn't end there. We need to keep up with salary and benefits to be competitive as our county grows and becomes even busier. So you can bet there will be a catch-up increase in the Sheriff's Department next budget, because it's also our safe streets and neighborhoods that makes Kenosha County one of the best places to live, work, and raise a family. Back to our highway program. We plan and build for our anticipated growth in strategic areas so that our citizens, commerce, and protective services do not end up in a perpetual traffic gridlock that plugs communities over the border to our south. Traffic congestion, the pension fund mess, education, public safety, and quality of place are all key reasons why Illinois companies continue to choose Kenosha County. Together, we as representatives of local government are working every day to make Kenosha County a great place to live, work, play, and raise a family. We know our economic development is strong. We're a beacon for businesses, not only south of the border in Illinois, but internationally across the ocean. We're getting people to look at us in ways that they haven't looked at us before. It is a result of all of you on this board, our economic development partner, Kenosha Area Business Alliance, our state officials, along with our local municipal leaders, making smart and strategic decisions. And yes, we can be a little more selective now. And as all you know, according to the latest CABA annual report, Kenosha County had another robust year of economic development in 2018. Looking forward, this shows no signs of slowing down. There are several major projects currently in development across or recently completed in all sectors of our economy, including industrial, healthcare, housing, and retail. These include Fresenius Kabi, a global healthcare company based in Germany. Freighted South is adding our new outpatient surgical wing and a new medical office building. Advocate Aurora Healthcare is building an ambulatory surgical center in Pleasant Prairie. Children's Hospital Wisconsin has now 2 locations here. A variety of housing developments across the county like Market Square Apartments, Breeze Terrace, Springs at Kenosha, and the apartments at the Falls at Pike Creek have been developed. And another brewery is making Kenosha County their home with a new building in Pleasant Prairie, Kings and Convicts Brewery, which has a significant event venue. I don't know what that name, but I'm sure they do. Several new business parks were announced or continue to thrive in 2018 and 2019, and some of these might not be familiar to many of you. Creating an additional capacity for new development. Prairie Highlands Corporate Park, State Line 94 Corporate Park, 94 Logistics Park, Kenosha Corporate Park, First Park 94, Salem Business Park, and there are a few more in development. Kenosha County is perfectly centered to be in the premier destination for new investment and talent in the Chicago-Milwaukee corridor. We're growing businesses, and we continue to grow in population. Our commitment is to getting people to work in Kenosha County, is evidenced by our economic development wins, and those continue to grow. People want to play and raise their families in communities that put a premium on quality of life and quality of place. In Kenosha County, we enjoy strong partnerships. We enjoy strong partnerships. Excuse me. Like those that brought us Petrifying Springs Beer Garden, a family-friendly venue. You go there on the weekend, you see multi-generation people sitting there with their children in the bounce houses. You occasionally see a dog pick up a dropped pretzel. And our partnership with Boundless Adventures will result in a state-of-the-art ropes course that is currently not available in the Midwest. It'll be an attraction for families, also for businesses looking for team-building activities. Another family-supporting partnership is one we've built on since 2009 with the Boys and Girls Club in Kenosha, community impact programs, and many, many private businesses, is the Summer Youth Employment Program. Take a look.
Teens always want that first job, and a program in Kenosha County is helping at-risk teenagers overcome some hurdles to get there.
Harry Zell shows us how we do it.
All right, that's good.
Not many 16-year-olds love their job, but Armand Harris does. It all started when a mentor recommended him for Kenosha County's Summer Youth Employment Program.
I thought it was pretty cool to get the work experience of being punctual and being there on time.
He was placed with the Boys and Girls Club. The organization ended up hiring Armand at the end of the summer.
Do you think you would have gotten a job if it weren't for the help of this program?
Probably not, because I have no experience whatsoever. This is my first job.
The county helps about 200 teens get jobs every summer. Donna Rhodes heads up the program.
Why do you think it's so successful?
Because we are taking at-risk youth who don't have the skills or support that's needed to find unsubsidized employment, and we're giving them their first real job.
This is a referral-based program. Counselors, social workers, and case managers recommend applicants. They have to be between 14 and 21 years old and considered at risk. This could mean they're struggling in school, involved in the court system, or are teen parents. Mentors help with interviewing skills, and then they're put to work.
So they have done everything from build split rail fences, the fence around the beer garden at Petrifying Springs, the dog park at Silver Lake Park.
They create art for the county too.
Seeing this program succeed, what's the best part?
Watching Kenosha become a safer place.
Before Kenosha started the program, there were more than 1,100 juvenile arrests in the city over the summer. 10 years after the program started, there were just over 290 arrests. That's a 74% decrease, something the county executive is proud of.
To try to target juvenile crime and the entrance into gang activity, and to be role models in their own families and neighborhoods.
He says the program is much more than a summer job.
They learn how to get up in the morning, how to be there on time, open a bank account.
Should other communities mimic you guys?
Absolutely.
County leaders say other communities have reached out and are thinking about implementing similar programs. Another perk, students in Kenosha Unified get a half credit towards graduation in addition to their paycheck. Corinne Zell, today's TMJ4.
John Jansen, Donna Rhodes. It's been a phenomenal success. I'm excited about our partnership with the University of Wisconsin Parkside that will allow the county to manage 139 acres of natural land along Petrifying Springs Park. This is another collaboration that will enhance research opportunities for Parkside students. It will protect environmental sensitive areas and improve recreational access to appropriate areas. It's in addition to the 50th birthday celebration of UW Parkside, and I hope this body adopts that tonight. Living, working, playing, and raising a family in Kenosha, and the role of Kenosha County in supporting those objectives is all tied together through our social media presence. People are learning how to access services and seek assistance for opioid addictions, how to get vaccinations at the health department, where to go for veteran services, what highway is closed for paving, and what activities are at the Pringle Nature Center. Kenosha County is strong because of our commitment to fiscal strength, efficient budgeting, and our cost-effective programming. We are helping people work in Kenosha County because we are planning for and maintaining our highways. We are committed to strong and effective law enforcement and public safety efforts. We are looking ahead at where economic growth opportunities are and will be. Citizens can play and raise a family in Kenosha County because we find ways to give them a cost-effective park system and educational opportunity in the parks. In 2019, the state of Kenosha County is strong, and we should try to ensure that every day is a great day in Kenosha County, and working collaboratively, we can all make it even better. May God bless America, and God bless Kenosha County.
Thank you. Thank you, County Executive Kreuser. It's good stuff.
area that we have to work upon and see if we can make some progress. In terms of Brookside, seems to be doing quite well. The projections in terms of occupancy and so forth are within our expectations. The Willowbrook Assisted Living has a total of 24 possible beds that can be occupied. It was a little bit of a slow start getting to the point where we could get the 2 wings occupied as fully as would be anticipated. But if I understood correctly, at tonight's meeting, out of the 24 possible beds, we have 19 that are occupied. So again, a better trend currently and a better trend for the future. That's my report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Grady. Supervisor Alverman, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to try to keep this brief this evening and not hit up some of these projects I've been reporting on for months, but just briefly, if you followed the Kenosha News, the Anderson Arts Center project is in full swing. Branch Room Courtroom, also full construction going on. And this building here, minor renovation, work that needs to be done on heat pumps and things, as this building is now hit its 25th year. That is going to begin on May 20th. All the county highway projects that I've reported on are all on schedule. That includes 142 Highway F. Most of these are in their planning stages. We had 2 snow storms that none of us anticipated or wanted, but we ended up our season with, as I had reported earlier after the first one, plenty of salt, and we still have salt in the shed if it's needed. Bristol Woods Parkway reconstruction is underway. Boundless Adventures was mentioned tonight by the county executive. That is scheduled for a grand opening on 6/4, and the county board is going to be getting invitations, and I'm told that you can even strap on a harness and go up if you want. Pike River Restoration Phase 1, near completion. The Pets Ball Field project is right now under construction, doing well. The Pets number 5 restroom project also. So there's plenty going on in golf. We all know what probably happened in golf here this spring so far, and it's true. We are not that far behind, but we are far behind on some construction that we wanted to be doing out there. And with our efficiency that's been built into that operation, we will be fine. It's just a matter of sunshine and good weather. Lastly, the courthouse chiller replacement will be done before the summer heat. Work started on January 7th, and we should be done on May 10th. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Alverman. Supervisor Uhas, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, tonight I'd like to give you an update on the Pringle Nature Center, on which I serve on as Kenosha County's representative. Pringle has a new naturalist, Liz Elvey, who started on March 12th and is excited to advance the mission of providing a place for people to experience nature, learn about the environment, and become better stewards through conservation efforts. Liz grew up in Libertyville, Illinois, and earned her bachelor's degree in ethnobiology at Ripon, has a graduate degree in science from Drexel University, and is currently working on her doctorate. The entire Pringle board is extremely happy to welcome Liz, and we look forward to seeing the new and exciting programs being held out at the Pringle Nature Center. Some upcoming events being held out at the Pringle Nature Center are this Saturday, May 11th at 1 p.m. is a plant exchange. So if anyone has any plants in your yard that you'd like to bring out and exchange, they can just be wrapped in newspaper or brown paper bags. You can swap with other people there, and it's free. There's no cost to it. So that's a really nice program that has a lot of people who attend. This year, there's a new event. For the first time ever, Pringle is hosting a combined summer celebration and Great American Campout on Saturday, June 22nd. Come with your family Saturday afternoon to celebrate summer with lawn games, arts and crafts, and nature activities, followed by campfire songs and stargazing, weather permitting. You may stay for an overnight campout next to the Nature Center. Pre-registration is required, and if you'd like to rent a tent, the fee is $10, and an optional breakfast will be served for $5. And lastly, Mud Day is on Wednesday, June 26th, which is highly attended because what child doesn't like to play in the mud? And during Mud Day, the kids get to learn about the earth and the exploring of nature. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Supervisor Uhas. Supervisor Gens, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to report to the board that the firing range is fully completed underneath the public service building, and came in on budget, and it's working very well. Unlike Supervisor Alverman, this is not interactive, so you cannot go there and participate, but you know, you certainly can have a tour of it. It's a great upgrade over what they had been shooting in, so just wanted to give you that report. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Supervisor Gens. I would recommend all supervisors go and check that out. It's state-of-the-art, and thank you, Supervisor Gens, for putting all your time and effort into that. I really do appreciate it. Seeing no other supervisor reports, we'll move on.
New business, Resolution 1 reading, number 3, the Public Works and Facility and Finance and Administration Committees, a resolution authorizing land use agreement with the UW Parkside for the Pike River restoration and development of recreational trails. From the Public Works Committee, Alverman, yes. Franco, yes. Poole, no. Gashke, yes. Nordigan, no. Skalitsky, no. Uhas, yes. And from the Finance Administration Committee, Rose, yes. Ron Frederick, yes. Gens, yes. Kubicki, yes. O'Day, yes. Gable, excused. Wamble, yes.
Thank you. Supervisor Alverman, you have the floor.
I move Resolution 3.
Thank you. I have a motion by Supervisor Alverman and a second by Supervisor Rose. Supervisor Alverman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, I'll try to keep this brief. I think the audience did most of my work this evening. It is very nice to have all of you here. Thank you. Last evening, this was before the Public Works Committee. It passed, as it was said this evening, but not without some opposition. I'm not going to get into all of that. I'm sure we probably will this evening, but I'm just going to hit on some other positives that we can look forward to. We have a history of what I call collaborations. They're all public-private collaborations. Things that people were worried about, a couple that I was worried about that I pushed for. But things have worked out. There's a couple of reasons things work out, and that's hard work and experience. Kenosha County has experience in these things. Now, the bike trails at Silver Lake Park were mentioned. There's 10 miles of trails out there. Our people did minimal, some supplying of materials, opening of gates, that type of thing. The people from this club that is represented here tonight did all the work. All the brush cutting, all the earth moving, all by hand. This isn't equipment going in and doing these things. And when they hold events out there, Silver Lake perks up and the whole area perks up. In the middle of winter, they have 100 people sometimes out on the track out there. This is huge in that park. The same thing happened with disc golf. We did minor expenses as the county. That was all done by the disc golf people in 3 of our parks. Silver Lake Park, which is swamped with golfers, we had a $10,000 investment in equipment. They laid it out. We made some agreements with them. It's done. It does well. It does very well for the area. I've got a whole lot more, but I'm going to just mention the beer garden also, because that's out there at Pets. I was cautious when that was first discussed with me. I took it to County Executive. Everybody was a little uneasy about doing it. We hadn't done it. We were fortunate enough to have had just hired Matt Collins from Milwaukee County, who had done it. And that beer garden, the dog park out there, and a couple other things are helping pay for some of these renovations out at Pets that we're doing right now. So these partnerships work. They work because we're good at something and we have connections. And what we're good at is mapping. Kenosha County has a mapping program that is as good as any in the country. We will be programming with the people from Parkside on their existing maps. We will be, there will be some expense. There's $1 a year, each year, on this agreement, but we will have expense. No one's going into this blind. Mr. Collins will be doing it with his existing staff and him. It's more work on him. Coordination between mapping people, consultants, there's going to be some dollars spent. Not large amounts of money compared to the quality of life that this will bring to the area. It's another addition to Kenosha County. We've seen what it can do at Silver Lake. The people want it, chomping at the bit for it to happen in Kenosha. Now, there was some concern at our meeting last night that this would be the first time we've done something like this on land we don't own. Well, we don't own this, but it's taxpayers' land, as is Petrifying Springs. The people of Kenosha County own it. People of the state of Wisconsin own some of it. We're all owners in this. Anything that happens out there, we all have a stake in. Kenosha County is going to be taking a minor risk for what the area is going to get out of it. Now, I'll say it once, and I hope it's the only time I have to say it tonight. There is an opt-out clause in this whole negotiations. Our attorneys, their attorneys, everyone. This was over a year of negotiating and talking. There's a way out, and it's simple. There's a 180-day notice. And if this does not work, becomes a fight. I've got the legal terms in here, but I don't want to turn the paper. If it becomes a legal burden on anyone, or not legal, a financial burden, and it's just not working, we can opt out. The Board of Regents can opt out. There's no major chance to be taken here. The only thing we're going to be doing, if you read these letters that everyone should have on their desk, I found them on my desk. One is from the Pike River Restoration, and one is from the sports fishermen. They're also urging us, along with these people tonight, to do this because they know it's good for the river. They know it's good for Kenosha. We will be merging two entities that can both, well, they can both apply for grants, but we're both good at getting grants. That's another thing. When we finish with our Pike River restoration, we can put our attention on that section of the Pike River. We won't be spending the money. We'll be getting grants. The regents will be getting grants. We will be doing things for the sports fishermen. We'll be doing things for the Pike River, the mountain bikers, the hikers, the people at the beer garden. I would urge everyone in this room to support this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Alvarez. Seeing discussion, Supervisor Rodriguez, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I like the sound of this, and I just briefly had a chance to read through the land use agreement. I do want to bring up a concern, whether it be to either of the two committees, the administration, or to our Parks Director, similar to that with Boundless Adventures. I just got this land use agreement tonight from a member of one of the committees, and I guess through the chair to anyone that can answer the question, I'm just curious to know, was it just an oversight, or why was this not part of our packet for tonight? So myself or others, members of the community, could read this before we vote on this tonight.
Do we have, Mr. Collins, do you want to step up? Do you know if this was part of the packet for Public Works and Parks Division? Can you maybe give us a little insight? 1 second, 1 second. Go ahead.
I'm not too sure about the packet for this evening, but that has been available since our joint Public Works and Finance Committee meeting. So it's been available for at least, I would say, 3 weeks, available online for any county supervisor to review.
So through the chair to our Parks Director, I would just ask that, or to really to whoever, that when we have something like this, that it goes, when we have it on the county board's agenda, that this is attached, just so that, we have time to read this, and that we don't have to go looking for it or asking others. And that's all. But other than that, as of right now, I think this sounds like a good idea. So that's all. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Supervisor Rodriguez. Supervisor Rose, you have the floor.
All right, thank you. This evening, we've heard an outpouring of support for basically a healthy lifestyle. We need to review this and support it and back it as an opportunity, not a detriment. We heard the speakers talk about it developing or helping to develop youth leadership. Another speaker talked about contributing to good mental and physical health. Others talked about the recreational opportunities and the way that it changed their lives. All of these things are very positive. Many of the programs that we face are dealing with very negative problems, be it drug or alcohol or law enforcement. This, at a very low cost, is one that contributes to a healthy lifestyle, and like the speakers, we ought to give it an outpouring of support as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Rose. Supervisor Skalitsky, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We did indeed last night review this contract at Public Works, and I want to commend my fellow supervisors for their informed and diverse list of questions regarding the contract. I think it's a noble cause. I think they're worthwhile objectives. I commend the citizens for coming here and expressing their support, as well as all the positives that come from an opportunity like this. The one area that's still, and the reason that I didn't support the resolution due to the wording in the contract, the way it's stated, is it is not county land. It is the UW Systems land. But within the contract in and of itself, there's a couple clauses that I think are worthwhile to repeat and to point out. The county shall be responsible for all normal maintenance of the trails and surrounding property. When extraordinary maintenance is required, county shall employ best practices for maintenance and coordinate the maintenance with the university. Again, university property, not county property. Under extraordinary maintenance, I won't bore you with all the wording under this clause. Extraordinary maintenance shall include, but is not limited to, such activities as building, installing bridges, boardwalks, benches, kiosks, building new trails, or regrading existing trails, stormwater management functions, or clearing brush, invasive species that exceed 1 acre. That's a long list and many expenses that could be borne by the county. Now, if the UW system was a system under financially hard times, which could not afford to develop or maintain this property, I could see why the county might want to take that on to enhance the lifestyle of the citizens within the surrounding area, not just Kenosha County. However, we all know that the UW system is flush with cash, and there's no reason that the county taxpayers should assume the burden of maintaining property that is not owned by the taxpayer. Now, I do want to commend and recognize all the groups that have stated that they would indeed volunteer and be fully engaged in the activities that go on, and that's fantastic. However, that does not relieve the county of its stated in this contract, not the resolution, obligations. And as a result, that is why I did not support it. And unfortunately, the Finance Administration Committee had already passed this resolution with minimal questioning or review, and so as a result, we were not in a position to make any kind of amendments to the contract. What was communicated to us through Corp Counsel representation is that negotiations have been going on for over a year with the Board of Regents, and then the Board of Regents approved. And I can see why they did. It's significantly one-sided, with the burden being borne by the county. I do agree and recognize the expertise that exists within the county to help develop this trail system and the myriad of other things that are listed, and I'm not opposed to that. What I am opposed to is the taxpayers, Kenosha County, continuing to have to maintain the burden of the maintenance and upkeep in the long run. And nobody can predict exactly what that's going to be, and I'm not going to speculate what it can be. However, I am going to make a motion that under Section 4 of funding, Sentence 1, construction by the county of the trails and restoration efforts shall be funded by multiple private and public sources. However, no Kenosha County taxpayer levy funds, taxpayer bonding funds, or any taxpayer collected funds shall be used for planning, construction, development, or maintenance of said property, and if any are used, this agreement shall be terminated. So that is my motion as to amending this, and I know that there is going to be concern, oh, we've got to rush into this. This land has been owned by Parkside for 50 years. There's no emergency to develop this within the next 3 weeks. I think this is a reasonable clause that could be added within this contract, and if the Board of Regents balks at it, then I would have greater concern over why they would have concern over a very specific and clearly stated funding goal. It can be funded by all the private sources that the users want to seek and obtain, or any other joint ventures, but I do not support the taxpayers of Kenosha County being solely responsible for the maintenance, planning, development, upkeep of property that is not owned by the taxpayers of Kenosha County.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. There's a motion on the floor from Supervisor Kalitzky. Do I have a second? There's a second from Supervisor Aaron Decker. We are going to clear the board, and we're going to discuss this, but I'm going to defer to Corporation Counsel to see if we can do this legally. My understanding is that this is a contract that was entered into that cannot be changed. So I do want some clarification before we spend any time discussing this. So I'm going to clear the board. Corporation Counsel, can you please give us some insight on this?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to concur with what my colleague, First Assistant Corporation Counsel Jennifer Kopp, I believe, said last night at the Public Works Committee. This is a contract that has been negotiated meticulously and at great length. It has been approved as it stands by the Board of Regents. Any changes that would be made to it would have to be taken back to the Board of Regents, would require, I'm not going to say reopening it, but certainly would require the request that it be reconsidered with the change. I don't know that this has been contemplated by the county before last evening. I certainly suspect that no one has reached out to the Board of Regents to see whether such an amendment at this point would be entertained. I think it certainly was anticipated and was stated last night. This is, we are presenting the agreement as it stands for an up or down vote. I certainly understand the stated concern that if there was pushback by the Board of Regents to such language, that would cause increased concern on the parts of certain supervisors, I would direct supervisors to Section 8, which is on page 5 of the agreement, as was referenced by Supervisor Elverman. There is a 180-day termination notice. All we have to do is provide written notice, 180 days. For any reason, we can terminate this agreement. It specifically indicates either party may terminate for reasons of program or budget. If at any point in time, this board or the administration determines that for budgetary reasons, there is cause to be concerned, cause to no longer wish to be a part of this partnership, on 180 days' notice, the agreement is terminated. If at any point in time there comes a situation where there is reason to believe that some sort of construction or maintenance is being contemplated that would be of a significant budgetary impact, we can walk away from the agreement. The motion is in order in as much as parliamentary procedure, you can amend the agreement. However, I would certainly advise that the agreement stands as it is, and an up or down vote is appropriate. The other party to the agreement has already approved it as written. It is inappropriate to be trying to make changes to an agreement that one side has already approved.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're telling me the motion in order, so we're going to proceed. Yeah, state your point.
Restate his motion so we can know what we're going to be debating here, and where exactly it would be located here in the document.
Okay. Supervisor Sklitsky, could you please restate your motion?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Under Section 4, funding, sentence 1, after, and public sources. However, no county taxpayer levy funds, taxpayer bonding funds, or any taxpayer collected funds shall be used for the planning, construction, development, or maintenance of said property, and if any are used, this agreement shall be terminated, period.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to defer to Corporation Counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor. It's been a long week, and it's Tuesday. I apologize. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't think I spoke as clearly as I probably should have. A motion to amend the resolution would be in order. A motion to amend the agreement, yes, I do not believe is in order.
Correct.
And as I listen again and understand it, this is a motion to amend the agreement. From that standpoint, I believe that the motion would not be in order, and if there are concerns about the agreement as it stands, the correct procedure would be to vote it down, and then, if necessary, provide instructions as to how they would like to see it reworked.
Okay.
But the motion to amend the agreement is out of order.
Okay. So, with that being said, I'm going to clear the board. I want all supervisors to understand that any funds that would be put out by Kenosha County to this trail system would have to be approved by Kenosha County. Would be in a budgetary cycle. It just wouldn't happen. But with that being said, Supervisor Sklitsky, your motion is out of order. Do you want to amend your resolution, I'm going to clear the board here real quick. Your motion to somewhat do something with the resolution instead of the contract, because right at this stage of the game, our lawyer is telling us we can do nothing with that. So I'll let you proceed with that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Unfortunately, there is no clear statement within the resolution in and of itself, so there's really no place to amend the contract language within the resolution. So, thank you.
Okay. So at that point, that motion is out of order. We are going to move on to the discussion at hand on the resolution. At hand. Supervisor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to whoever can answer this, who negotiated this agreement with the Board of Regents?
The negotiations were undertaken by the administration, Matt Collins, as well as Jennifer Kopp from our office.
And is it common practice, being, a first-term supervisor, is it common practice to, draft up an agreement like this where we don't ask the board for input, questions, concerns before the contract is sent to the board and committee at the point where we cannot amend that contract?
In my experience, yes. It is the job of the administration to negotiate contracts. It is part of the role of the board to approve them. It would be near impossible to try and negotiate by committee. The opportunity that the board has to weigh in if there are concerns is at the point in time where there's this vote. The agreements are also always negotiated with the contingency clause that they are contingent on approval by the governing bodies of the entities. So in this case, the Board of Regents and the Board of Supervisors.
Okay, so I know in here that we have part of the termination agreement, we have 180 days to decide to leave this agreement for whatever reason or lack of a reason. We could just leave because we want to, correct?
Generally speaking, we negotiate the ability to terminate for any reason or no reason.
Okay, so my question then to our Parks Director or Public Works Director, whoever can answer this, is 180 days enough time to go into the park then and decide what work would need to be done? Do we need to build any bridges? Do we need to work on stormwater? Or are we going to get to a point where 180 days is up and now we are looking down the barrel of, building a bridge and rerouting water?
Understand something. You cannot build a bridge without it coming in front of this body and approving the monies to do so.
But my concern, Mr. Chair, is that we only have 180 days to leave the agreement.
No. I want everyone to be clear here. What we're approving, if any form of monies that would go, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the Director of Parks, if any monies that would go to over and above a general maintenance of maintaining the trails, this is a wooded area, we have people that volunteer, wood chips, anything that would cause a budgetary item would have to be approved by this county board. You cannot, one second, you have to understand that we're talking what ifs and this happens and that happens. I understand that, but anything that would go beyond dollars, other than $1 a year in maintenance costs, which would be taken over by our team right now, correct? No extra cost, no extra people, would have to be approved by this board. So with that going forward, please, Matt, answer Supervisor Rodriguez.
Well, if I may, Mr. Chair, and my apologies to Matt, so I was under a different assumption, so then through the Chair to Corp Counsel, at any point from now, if we agree to this tonight, from 50 years out, we can exit this agreement, giving them 180 days.
Correct. At any point in time, with 180 days' notice, we can terminate the agreement.
Okay, knowing that, I'm going to vote in favor of this agreement tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think we need you right now, Matt, but hang tight. I'm sure this isn't your last trip up. Thank you. Supervisor Alvin.
I just want to make two quick points. There's $0 in the 2019 budget for this. No dollars. And to date, all of the maintenance, tree trimming, and work has been done by the volunteers from the mountain bike group at the Silver Lake Park, 10 miles of trail.
And any monies in the 2020 budget would have to be approved.
Correct.
Okay, so every supervisor understands that. Okay, thank you. Supervisor Decker, you have the floor.
Through the chair to Mr. Collins, I guess.
I told you this wasn't your last trip up. Yeah, just stay up there.
I believe the reason why some supervisors are gun shy on this is because we were sold with the Adventure Park in Bristol Woods Park, that we were going to make money on that, and then the next budget, we were told that we had to spend $700,000 or $500,000, I can't remember off the top of my head, on a new parking lot because of that. That's why supervisors are gun shy. We were told, we were just told that the beer garden is paying for facilities, for new bathrooms. Well, if we didn't have the beer garden, we wouldn't have to do those bathrooms. So we're being told things or not told things, which makes us gun shy. Just like when we had the bike use path plan passed how many years ago, the administration refused to give us a number on how much that plan was going to cost, and it's cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars since then, but we were never given a number. What do you anticipate as costs associated with doing the mountain bike trails and this agreement?
So, Chairman, Supervisor, as far as right now, as everyone said, it's a dollar agreement. We are heavily relying on the community, just like we did with Silver Lake Park and those mountain bike trails. Our strength with Kenosha County is that we're able to collaborate with the community to provide these resources to our community, the economic impact. So by utilizing UW Parkside for their data-driven educational curriculum, we're able to use those free resources through their internship programs to collect data, to do natural resource inventories. So I don't expect a large fee for any of that stuff. As far as the trails and the trail management, we've proven that through Silver Lake Park, that our staff, my county team, we do not lift a finger for those mountain bike trails. We do not go in there, we do not maintain, we do not brush, we do not do anything for those trails. The same thing would exist for the trails on UW Parkside property, that if they're not maintained properly, they don't exist. The only reason why we're doing this is because we have the resources, the ability, and the knowledge on successful partnerships. And without those partnerships, we don't move forward. So as far as the economics of this, I don't really foresee anything with the trail system whatsoever, because we're going to rely on the community, and the community came here to support that this evening.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor Nordigan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question is, after the trails are built, everything's, I guess, put into place there, what happens to all of them if down the road we decide to opt out?
I guess that would be through me to Matt, or Ray, you want to tag team this? Seems to be a concern of what happens when these trails are set in place and we tend to opt out if we are going to.
That is correct. Just as I said with Silver Lake Trails, the same thing would go for the Parkside Trails, that if we did not have the volunteers, there was no interest, mountain bike was a fad, there's not really a biking community, everything would probably grow over and there would be no more trails. That I don't foresee any staff man hours on the county side to maintain these trails, even if the volunteers pull out. In the agreement with what we have with the mountain bike organization, and we do have an MOU with them, if they fail to maintain those trails, the trails do not exist. It's as simple as that.
Thank you.
Answer your question?
Yes, and then I had another one I think I asked this last night in committee, I don't remember what the answer was, is why can't these be developed today, right now, with the volunteers? Why does it have to come through the county? Sorry.
That's fine. I don't know if that would be more of a legal question, or Matt, can you answer that question for me? All right, thank you.
So a little bit of the history is Parkside actually approached us because there are so many rogue mountain bikers that's not their philosophy to manage their natural resources. They don't have the skills, they don't have the manpower to oversee what was actually happening on Parkside property. They were technically going to shut down all the trails and stop public access. That's where the point was with UW Parkside. And they approached us on how to actually do that. And we came back with the philosophy, instead of fighting them, work with them to build an actual sustainable trail network and provide something for our community. So it started out with them actually wanting to close off the trails, and the county came up to the table and says, we've had a good history of actually working with the community to do things right. So if it was left to Parkside, unfortunately, it's not in their mission. Their mission is educational curriculum, not mountain bike trails, and providing those resources. They still want to offer that to the general public, but they need the help, and they can't do it on their own. And that's where our strong suit is, collaborating with our community.
So there's no legal reason why they can't do that themselves? It's more philosophical on their side, then?
They don't have the manpower to even oversee that.
Well, but beyond that, I think looking at the statutes and the administrative code, I think it's outside of their mandate. I think it's outside of their mission and their mandate as to what they're supposed to be doing.
Okay, thank you.
Real quick, can you give us, none of us here are a Parks Director, and you're our Parks Director, and I think you do a fantastic job, and I want to publicly say thank you. Where are we at on quality of life with this? I mean, there's a ton of people here, and I appreciate all these people spending their time. Give us a little overview on this. I mean, I don't think it's really been touched on how important this could be to our community. In your opinion, this is what you do.
My opinion is this is going to be more work for me. This is going to be, a lot to manage as far as over 100 acres. But the reason why I do it, the reason why I'm passionate about my job is because of the people and what I hear behind me. And it's their idea. It's really them pushing us to provide for their families. That, as the county executive said today, we're growing as a community. We do have wonderful jobs. Our business is thriving. Our roads are in excellent condition. But we need something for our families to do. If they have the economic impact and they really have a great place to live and work, they also need somewhere to play. And that's my job, is to provide that well-rounded and balanced quality of life. And I think this is a huge opportunity, especially on the eastern side where it's extremely developed, that we don't have those natural resources. We don't have 128 acres where families can go out and have a place to recreate like this. So this is a huge opportunity for our community, and we're going to look back in 50 years and probably forget why we're even debating this, because it's just going to be part of the gem of our county. So that's why I want to do this. I want to put in that extra effort because it's the right thing to do, not just for our parks, but our community.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor Gens, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is a win-win-win. The people who would use it, Parkside and us, I think all will benefit from this. I can appreciate Supervisor Skalitsky and Supervisor Decker's concerns and questions about future financial obligations from the county, but also to respond to Supervisor Skalitsky, we did vote on this rather quickly, but I did read the material and had my questions answered. So I don't see any way where we're going to have a money pit here, or we're going to actually even lose any amount of money. I asked the Parks Director, how much it would cost if we absolutely had to maintain them. Well, staff time. I mean, we're really not, we're not in the position here to lose. Now, two other things that really haven't been talked about at length with all this discussion tonight is, number one, the ability to get grants. I mean, that's one reason that they might want to partner with Kenosha, because we can get grants. We can help them get grants. We can see the public-private partnerships that allow us to go after those grants. Parkside can go after grants. We can get help and maybe expand this into things that we haven't even thought that it could be yet. So it's a tremendous opportunity at a very, very low risk. I can't even imagine anybody wanting to opt out, but that is in the contract. So the second thing is, I asked at Finance, and I haven't heard tonight, is would we have any liability if anything happened, and we do not. So I just wanted to make everybody aware of that, if something happened on the trails. So, I mean, I've studied this, listened to all this, and I think we should move forward and get this project going. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Supervisor Gens. Supervisor Gaschke, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm a strong proponent of private enterprise and private development, and personally, my wife and I are local small business owners. And as a local resident and as a local business owner, I'm also a proponent of fiscal responsibility. And that's exactly why I am in support of tonight's resolution. My personal perspective is that government should be able to provide a fertile and healthy environment where private enterprises can flourish. And again, tonight's resolution is exactly that. We have minimal investment. It's a $1 lease with minimal staff time. And we also have minimal risk. We have the termination clause built in, and anything above and beyond the financial costs listed here would have to be approved by us at a future date. Minimal investment, minimal risk, and maximum benefit, including financial benefit, not perhaps to the Kenosha County government itself, but to the many local small businesses and others in our community. In addition to financial, we have the social and the health benefits. Minimal investment, maximum benefit, and the fact that Kenosha County has a strong track record of public and private partnerships lead me to be in full support of tonight's resolution. I will be voting for this, and I urge each of my colleagues to as well.
Thank you, Supervisor Gaschke. Supervisor Noodle, you have the floor.
Thank you. I know there has been a lot of discussion about the cost now and the future, and I'm looking at the last whereas, where it's got this resolution, and the land use agreement will not require any budget adjustment or additional levy-funded costs for 2019. I understand that any future money would have to be voted by this board. However, I don't feel comfortable by just having the last two words in there for 2019. So I would like to make an amendment to the resolution to strike the last two words on the line.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor on the resolution, correct?
That is correct.
Right, to strike the last two words.
In the last whereas.
Whereas.
For 2019.
For 2019. All right, do I have a second? Do I have a second? Second. There is a second. So we're going to clear the board, and we are going to have discussion on changing a few words in the resolution from 2019 as proposed by Supervisor Noodle. Supervisor Frankel.
Just point of order, is this not the same sort of scenario where we're amending the contract by changing two words?
No, it's not. Correct me if I'm wrong, Corporation Counsel. Supervisor Noodle wants to change the resolution. He doesn't want to change the contract. Supervisor Sklitsky wanted to change the contract that was already been negotiated, which we cannot do.
Thank you.
Okay? So, right now, I see no discussion on changing these last few words in the resolution. Well, now I do have some discussion. Supervisor Nordigan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could that whole line be read, please? I wasn't clear on what it is.
Motion, please read the whole line.
Okay, the whole line will be, whereas this resolution and the land use agreement will not require any budget adjustment or additional levy-funded cost.
Okay. For 2019.
I mean, that's what it is now for 2019, but I will stop over at the cost, not, taking off the, for 2019.
So if I've understood, it's to remove the last two words for 2019.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Everybody clear on that? Remove of the last two words on the resolution that says for 2019. Supervisor Gens.
Holy Christopher. Through the chair to the maker of the motion, is this just scratching these two words just meant to be, we're never going to put any money in this? Is that what you're getting at here? Through the chair to Supervisor Noodle.
Supervisor Noodle.
Well, it was discussed before that if we need any additional money, this board would have to vote. So if any money is needed, that could be voted. And the way it looks now is that no money is needed for 2019. However, we expect to put money in or to put it on the levy or on the budget at a later date. So in this way, it's right now we don't expect to put any money in it and additional money. And if that is needed, again, we can vote on that at that point.
Right, but by taking out for 2019, you're just basically saying will not require any budget adjustment or additional levy-funded cost, period. So you're saying forever, it's not going to require any costs. I could be reading that wrong, and I'm tired, so.
My understanding is that's what Supervisor Nudo was saying.
And plus, we have to look at staff time. How is that related to budget, additional levy-funded costs? Levy pays for salaries. If we need to put $1,000 into the trails, I don't want to come back to this and say, well, we agreed never to put any money in it.
I understand.
Unless I'm understanding wrong, I won't be supporting that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Take your point.
Is this, then based on what Supervisor Gens said, is this the way the resolution is written now, where 4/2019 is in the resolution? Does that mean that our Parks Director and nobody from our staff will be working 1 second on these bike trails this year?
I'll defer to Corporation Counsel on that.
I think if we're parsing the language as it exists, what it's saying is there is no anticipated additional costs this year that would require either a budget adjustment beyond what's already been budgeted for the Parks Division or any additional levy-funded costs. We have approved I'm not part of the board. The board has approved the 2019 budget. And what the resolution is saying is the parks budget exists as it is, and nothing about this agreement or the resolution authorizing and approving the agreement changes that budget. Nothing about the agreement tonight requires any additional monies to be spent in 2019. That's the language as it stands.
And please understand that any money that would be spent in 2020, 2021, 2022, on and on and on and on, will have to be approved by this board. Okay? Go ahead.
Removing the two words "for 2019," and I apologize because I'm now going to get really kind of wonky, sort of makes the statement no longer make sense, because we can't talk about budget adjustments beyond 2019. We don't have a budget beyond 2019. We can only adjust the budget that exists currently. So taking out for 2019 renders at least part of that sentence moot. And again, as far as additional levy-funded cost goes, I mean, if I'm understanding, and I certainly don't want to presume to get it wrong, but it sounds like Supervisor Nudo, I believe he is agreeing with the concept that any additional funds for future projects would have to be approved by the board as part of the budget process, correct?
That is correct. And also, what I'm getting to the point is, as of today, we do not expect to put any money in. If that comes at a later date, then the board can vote yes or no. So just like we don't expect to add any money for 2019, I guess all the talking was that everything is going to be done by free work or whatever you want to put it. So what I'm saying is, right now, we don't expect any expenses to be coming for this project. If that does, well, we vote on it. A few years ago, we voted for the bike trail, and that was no money. We did not have an amount in there. Then the amount was astronomical. So now if we leave that open, that means that we know it's going to be some kind of...
Whoa, time out. What you're saying is, because I think we're getting way off path here, and I'm just saying that because it's a bike trail.
Okay.
You're saying that your motion is to eliminate 42019. What Corporation Counsel is telling you is there is no money in the budget for 2019. So my question to you is for a clarification point, because I'm probably just as confused as everybody else sitting here. If you're saying that, it doesn't mean that money's going to be spent in 2020 or 2021. I just want you to be clear, because that would have to be voted on by this board. You're talking about any monies that would go to this project through, and correct me if I'm wrong, this project through the park system would be a line item. And you could say, in the 2020 budget, which we're going to do in 6 months, yep, I don't want that. You can get rid of that. So I don't really understand the traction of the 4/2019. That's just my opinion. We will continue to discuss this, but I just don't, I have to agree with our legal counsel on this. It just doesn't, I don't see the benefit of it. So with that being said, we'll proceed. Supervisor Rose.
All right, thank you. I'm going to pose this. I urge the board to do so. This proposal falsely represents to the public that this isn't going to cost us anything now or in the future. And I defer to the Corporation Council on this, but I know that this board cannot bind future boards. Future boards can do what they want on this resolution or any other resolution. We can't bind them. That's up to them. But this falsely tells the public something else. I'm not going to engage in that kind of deception or misrepresentation here so that we can go out and say, well, we supported this big project for bike trails and it's not going to cost anybody anything. Not so. This is a good project. I don't think it's going to cost a lot of money in the future. We spend more money on law enforcement, on social services, on highways, and all kinds of other things. Why pick on this group who's come here this evening in good faith to promote a healthy lifestyle at what I would think would be a minimal cost, considering the kind of costs that this government and other governments spend for all kinds of other things other than a healthy lifestyle. So I want to be upfront and fair right now and not give the public the impression that this is not going to cost you anything anytime in the future, because that's not true.
Thank you. Supervisor Ron Frederick, you have the floor.
To me, the taking that out does nothing. I mean, it makes no sense, okay? We're saying that there's no additional cost in 2019, and as you said, Mr. Chairman, if the future board next year decides to put money in the budget, it'll have to go through the budget process. So taking that off does nothing except make it, I don't know, it doesn't make any sense.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to clear the board right now. Does anybody have any discussion in regards to the motion that was made by Supervisor Nudo? If not, we are going to vote on this resolution. We are voting on Supervisor Nudo's amended a resolution to take out 42019 out of the existing resolution. Vote yes if you are in favor of taking that out. Vote no if you are not. Clear? Simple majority. Okay, so Supervisor Nudo's motion fails 19 to 3, 18 to 3. So we're back on the original resolution. There's a call to question. Clear the board here. Call to question. So if you want to end debate on this issue, you will have to vote. There was a roll call requested, so yes if you are in favor of ending debate, no if you are not. How many do we need? So that passes. We are going to end debate on this issue. Right now, we are going to vote on resolution number 3, and there's been a roll call requested. Yes if you are in favor of resolution 3, no if you are not. Let the county clerk clear the board. Yes, it's been read. Resolution passes 21-1. Thank you. Moving on. Communications.
Communications 2. Communication from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee.
It was. Now it is. I'm sorry.
Okay. Communication 2, communication from the Judiciary and Law Enforcement Committee regarding resolution, Country Thunder Activity Control License.
Refer to Judiciary and Law.
Number 3, communication from Supervisor Andy Berg, a resolution asking Governor Evers and the State of Wisconsin Legislature to submit an application for a waiver from CMS of the Medicaid IMD exclusion to allow federal reimbursement of short-term acute care and transition planning for persons with serious and persistent mental illness.
Refer to Legislative and Human Services.
4, communications from the Finance and Administration Committee regarding a resolution 2019 Information Technology Resolution to recognize additional revenue and modify expenditure budgets for services incurred for the use of the fiber infrastructure for the public safety software and NG 911 from Kenosha Joint Services.
Refer to Finance and Administration.
Number 5, communications from the Finance and Administration Committee regarding a resolution authorizing transfer of 3 parcels taken by tax deed to the City of Kenosha and forgiveness of taxes and assessments.
Refer to Finance and Administration Committee.
6, communications from the Finance and Administration Committee regarding a resolution authorizing transfer of 2 parcels taken by tax deed to the Village of Paddock Lake and forgiveness of taxes for parcels number 4-4-120-021-2885 and 40-4-120-021-2890.
Refer to Finance Administration.
Number 7, from a communication from the Finance and Administration Committee regarding a resolution to approve the Identity and Access Management Policy.
Refer to Finance Administration Committee.
Number 8, communications from the Finance and Administration Committee regarding a resolution to approve the Technology Use Policy.
Refer to Finance Administration Committee.
Communication 9, from Supervisor Decker, Mauer, and Uhas, a resolution celebrating the 100th anniversary of Wisconsin ratifying the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution.
Refer to Legislative Committee.
Claims 1, James Kenneth Jackson versus Kenosha County, ETA.
Refer to Corporation Council.
Okay. Approval of the April 16th, 2019 annual and organizational minutes by Supervisor Nudo.
Supervisor Nudo, you have the floor.
Move to approve the meeting.
I have a motion by Supervisor Nudo, a second by Supervisor Rodriguez. All those in favor say aye. Aye. I have a motion to adjourn. I have a motion to adjourn by Supervisor Gantz, a second by Supervisor Mauer. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you very much.